surprising move by the Edmonton Oilers. The two things I took from that presser was, one, Stan Bowman got out ahead of it and took full responsibility for what happened with Kyle Beach, right? Spoke with him, informed him he was going to get another job in the NHL before this was announced. I think that's important. And said all the right things. I don't think there was one thing I would have liked to have heard more from him, how he explained the situation and how it ended in Chicago. Now, what gives me ultimate pause is the fact that Jeff Jackson said he didn't consult with his big dogs of what was going to happen here. That's surprising to me, Dusty. If that's
like I said, I partially don't believe it. I mean, what you do say is you didn't, so that none of this gets put on the players, which it shouldn't. I mean, this is not their decision when it's all said and done. But I have a hard time believing that somebody as important to the organization as Connor McDavid would have just got a call that said, "Hey, we hired Stan Bowman." Just so you know, I don't know. I don't think that's how you would run that situation.
Connor, he has a couple more years, right? The main concern to me, Dusty, is how Leon Draisaitl feels about this whole situation. And the conspiracy theorist in me, I go back, and I have no idea if this is true or not, but this is kind of what I heard way back when, is Connor McDavid does not like the reference McJesus because he comes from a religious background in his family. That's what I heard. And if you look at all the broadcasters, like the in-house they never refer to him as McJesus. And I think there was a little bit of a discussion there. And this could affect some players' view on coming to Edmonton, where you had everyone clamoring to be part of the Edmonton Oilers a few weeks ago, to now a fly in the ointment a little bit with this hire. I like you said, Dusty, I don't understand why. I think Stan Bowman has proven he's a good GM. I've been trying to look at track records and see his moves, what he's been able to accomplish. Yeah, like Ken Holland, not all home runs.
No, there's a few misses along the way there. And they're basically, their entire core was drafted before he became GM, right, in Chicago. He got handed Kane and Taves. Now, he was a part of the staff, I believe. But, I mean, he's not the guy who gets credit for finding Duncan Keith and Brent Seabrook, in my opinion.
Right now, he reminds me of one of those little kids that plays a football game and they give him the handoff against men and he runs for a touchdown. That's essentially what Stan Bowman's got, right? Like, everyone's diving all over the place. Oh, he was handed, and everyone's just getting out of his way here. But yeah, I'm not a huge fan of it, Dusty. In my personal view, I don't know why the reasoning was to make this move at this time. But then again, we'll see how it affects Oilers fans. What is their reaction going to be? I just think the Oilers are dealing from such a position of strength that it doesn't matter what they can do.
This is what I was going to ask you, and I think this is a fair question, and I don't want this to come across as a slight to the fans, because Edmonton Sports Talk exists because fans in Edmonton are hardcore sports fans. They're very passionate about what they do. Our numbers today have been big because the Oilers did something of significance. So this is not a slight. This is just reality, and everybody, whether you want to admit it at this very moment or not, is the Oilers do this because they know in the market, from a business standpoint, Gager, they're essentially untouchable, right? Like, sponsors aren't going to bail on the Oilers because of this. Fans, and there will be some, and I give those fans credit who text in today and say, "That's it, I can't handle this, I'm done." And I give those fans a hell of a lot of credit if they can stick to their guns on that, because I know a lot of people are going to be very fired up about it. But if Connor McDavid's going for 50 goals in 50 games next February, I mean, people aren't going to care about the history of Bowman. That's not just an Edmonton thing either. This is like a professional sports vibe. I feel like that's because you sit here and go, why would the Oilers think that they could do this when knowing, like, if you go look at the tweet that they put out when they hired him, it is like 90% people just absolutely torching the organization, but they're kind of in this bubble that they've created that they can do whatever they want, really, and not worry about the reaction. That's just the truth.
The bottom line comes down to ticket sales and merch and everything else, and that's the only way that you're going to see. I think Maddie even said in the hangout too, like the power of the fans, and you see this in Europe with football teams. Like the fans get on, they want to change in our coaching change. They can influence these things unless it affects their bottom line. And if the fans have the intestinal fortitude to stick with their guns and say, you know what, this is too much for me, I don't feel it's right, and not support their team, there's nothing's going to happen, and I don't think it will. The Oilers are in such a unique position in the city of Edmonton to be. I mean, there's some great other sporting events, and we love going to these things. But let's face it, Dusty, they're the only game in town. Yeah,
I mean, no matter what, it's an Oilers town. Right, it's not a hockey town. It's certainly not a football town right now. It's an Oilers town, and then a what's hot town, and the Riverhawks are hot right now. People love going to watch the Riverhawks. It's a great time being at the ballpark, but it's very much an Oilers town, and that's why the Oilers can sit here and do whatever they want. Looney Len says bubbles always break, Dusty. But I mean, I don't know. I don't think this bubble breaks. I mean, it's like with Corey Perry, and Corey Perry's situation was different, but it didn't look like anybody around the league wanted to touch him, and the Oilers are like, we'll do it. And it worked out relatively well for them. And Corey Perry apparently he's got everything back on track, and maybe in Edmonton they can help. Bowman, he's worked on it. He's developed some relationships. The whole Sheldon Kennedy thing I find interesting. But I still doesn't sit well with me when somebody has to say, I've learned that what I did in the past was wrong, but you still allowed that to happen. Like, I just don't know how you wouldn't have put the brakes on it then. Like, I don't know how you have to learn that having a member of your staff sexually assault one of your players is you learned that it's wrong now, as opposed to the moment it happened going, holy shit, this can't happen. Like, it's just a good for him. If he's gone through all that, I get that. But there'll always be that little part in the back of my mind that going, wait, you had to talk to people to learn that was wrong? Because I kind of feel like you should just know that's wrong.
Well, and all the other things, and I wouldn't mind reading that report to see it all. But what struck me as really unfortunate throughout the whole time was this guy got recommendations to go somewhere else. Like he was like, okay, let's get him out of here. Let's put him somewhere else and not worry about the ramifications of what happens elsewhere. That's what you let the predator go. Something, it should have been stopped then, and it was just, let's just get this out of the way. Let's sweep it all under the carpet and throw the carpet in the river and not have to worry about that again. That's what really was affected me in that whole situation. I don't like it. I think you were in such a unique position to keep so much momentum going forward, and now to do something that you knew that was going to cause friction. You knew this was going to be talked. You knew there was the possibility that this could alienate some people, some fans from, and good rapport with everyone. The fact that I don't like the fact that Sheldon Kennedy was there. Like, look, he says it's okay. I don't like that. I don't like that at all. It doesn't sit well with me. It doesn't sit well with me. Maybe I'll get over it, and it's great that he's done work and stuff, but to me it just doesn't sit well But that whole thing that happened and what you could have accomplished, I don't think that someone else could have been picked to help your team get to that next level, to collaborate on the level that Jeff Jackson was just talking about in that press conference to make your team better.